Gasoline is one of the most widely used sources of energy in our society. It powers almost everything with an engine, from our cars and our lawnmowers to our generators and boats. Thus, we use gasoline so frequently it is extremely harmful to our environment. When burned, 10 liters of gasoline creates 23.5 kilograms of CO2. Every year, petrol and diesel engines used for transportation produce 1,400 million metric tons of CO2, 14% of the whole global CO2 emissions. And, although modern car engines are becoming more and more efficient, we need to move away from fossil fuels if we want to become a carbon neutral society. Gasoline is a non renewable source, and if we continue consuming oil at this rate, researchers at Stanford University predict that we could run out of oil in as little as 40 years. One future fuel that is being researched as an alternative to fossil fuels is an ethanol. Ethanol is an alcohol made up of an ethyl group and an hydroxyl group. It is commonly used as an antiseptic, solvent, and as a fuel. It is the same alcohol found in all alcoholic beverages, like beer and wine. This is because ethanol is created through the fermentation of plant matter, but instead of using barley or grapes, ethanol for fuels is created from sugar cane and corn. As a result, ethanol is considered a renewable source because it is made from plants you can grow. To create industrial ethanol, sugarcane or corn is put through the process similar to that of making vodka. Firstly, they grind and mix the plant matter. Next, they ferment the stocky plant matter with yeast to create alcohol. This alcohol mixture is then further distilled to extract pure ethanol. Our design would utilize ethanol as a combustible fuel to replace gasoline. Pure ethanol can be used as a fuel in engines that are almost identical to petrol engines. We would use ethanol as a fuel for a small 5 horsepower engine that could act as a small generator. This ethanol engine would produce 3700 watts of electricity, enough to power 15 laptops or a water pump or 2 microwaves. This generator could be used to create power in remote places where there is no access to electricity. The developments from creating the ethanol engines could be utilized for developing ethanol engines for other applications, such as for transport. The benefits to using ethanol instead of petrol is because ethanol is far better for the environment than gasoline. Ethanol produces only around 13 pounds of CO2 per gallon of fuel combusted than gasoline, which creates up to 20 pounds of CO2 per gallon combusted. Greenhouse gas emissions are reduced further as the carbon dioxide emitted from the combustion of ethanol is balanced by the intake of carbon dioxide by crops used to make the ethanol, about 40% through corn-based production and about 108% through cellulosic production, non-food based. However, ethanol is less energy dense than gasoline, containing approximately 34% less energy per unit volume than gasoline. This would result in the engine using more ethanol to create the same amount of energy. One technical problem with ethanol is that it requires more attention to storage than gasoline. Traditional fuel tanks use elastomer and turn-plated steel, which is susceptible to corrosion from ethanol. Instead, materials such as stainless steel, bronze and black iron would have to be used as they show adequate resistance to ethanol corrosion. Furthermore, ethanol is soluble in water. The fuel can be easily contaminated by debris and moisture that gets within the fuel tank. Ethanol production on an industrial scale is a relatively new process. The most notable production facilities are in the United States and Brazil, both producing about 81% of the world's ethanol fuel. But there is still a lot more room for development to increase the production yield and the efficiency of ethanol. Increasing food prices have caused a concern for the impact of ethanol production, as it needs a large amount of land to grow crops. Powering a car for a year would require 11 acres of land of corn, which could alternatively be used to feed 7 people. However, recent developments with cellulosic ethanol production might elevate some of these concerns. Cellulosic ethanol production allows a process to utilize the cellulose fibers in plant cell walls to create ethanol. This would make the production of ethanol far more efficient, commercially viable, and socially desirable. With the amount of CO2 we are putting in our atmosphere with each year and all resources depleting, we need to look at alternative ways to create energy for everything, from our cars to our homes. We believe utilizing ethanol as a renewable fuel source is an important step to becoming a carbon neutral society and preventing climate changes.